Well, hello there. Hi, Bill. Hi, Callista. And no Phil with us. So no hellos to Phil. But hey, we are here 3 weeks, I think, before the election. So let's have a chat and see what we have to bring forward today. But how are you guys doing, first of all?
Well, hi, Callista. Hi, Will. I'm doing great.
Good.
Yeah, hi, Bill. Hi, Will. Yeah, I'm doing ordinary. But yeah, Phil's not with us today, so he might be back next week. He's just off somewhere, and so we'll just chat among ourselves. It's been quite a week with one thing and another.
It certainly has been a week, and I think we're going to see 3 more weeks of it, and a few days then into the new month, and then the election. And on that point, I would like to start tonight with a little bit of a discussion about the polls, especially all the mainstream media fake news polls that seem to be out there suggesting that Biden is now, 10, 12 points ahead of Trump, and Trump is struggling and everything like that. And then the other day, I heard that the Gallup poll said he was 56%. This would be Trump, the highest result ever of a Gallup poll for a president seeking re-election. And that I don't know what it was, but about 46%. I think Barack Obama had that in his re-election campaign a few years ago, and he won handily. But 56%, they're already saying this might be an absolute landslide. So saying that, any thoughts, you guys, about the deceitful polls and the false reporting about how good Biden is doing?
Well, I had not heard that about the Gallup poll, and I'm very surprised. It looks like they're getting out from under control, because usually the polls are just faked. They were 4 years ago, and the others outside of Gallup still are right now.
There's a couple others, but this one is supposed to be very relevant. I think in the last 26 presidential elections, they've been correct 24 times in their poll. So this makes it interesting. Any thoughts on that, Callista?
Well, I think it's interesting to note that most of the polls are showing that Biden's going to win, or he's ahead or something or other. And yet when you look at the actual rallies and meetings and things like that that's going on, I mean, Trump's having a rally every night. So, at the moment, it seems like he's really out of the starting gate and going, full on, and getting thousands of people. And yet Biden-Harris doesn't seem to be getting anyone. I really haven't seen much about them at all. Have you?
Nothing at all, aside from being told on the news that they're doing this place or that place. A telling figure is that since Labor Day, and that would be around the beginning of September, of course, with all the rallies that he's done, Trump has seen about 250,000 people have attended his airport rallies and other rallies he's having. And in that same period of time, Biden and Harris have seen 84 people. There was a rally held in Arizona. It wasn't a rally. It was some kind of town hall meeting or whatever. 8 people showed up, and both Biden and Harris were there for that. 8 people. So if nothing else, I think the real poll is the poll of the people, and the people who show up for Trump versus the ones who do not show up for Biden. Of course, the cameras never show you the mass crowds of either Trump or the lack of crowds by Biden. So that's kind of
I watched the end of President Trump's rally in Des Moines, is it called?
No,
Des Moines.
Des Moines. Des Moines, is it? Yeah, in Iowa, I think it is. And he threw it out there. He said, come on, show the crowd. And the particular feed that I was watching, they showed all the crowd. It depends who's doing it. I think if you get one of the independent, people, organisations, you get, they'll do what he asks them to do.
Right.
But you're right in that I think people are voting with their feet. And if, as I think I heard Cory Booker say the other day, that half the votes have already been cast for the election, if that's the case and the attendance to rallies and things like that is any indication of how people have voted, well, I don't think President Trump has any problem about being re-elected. What do you think, Bill?
Well, I think that's a really strange comparison between the number of people at a Biden rally and the number of people at a Trump rally. And I'm guessing that instead of having, 500 people or 800 people or something like that at a Biden rally and comparing it with Trump's huge numbers, that they decided instead of having that kind of comparison, they just play the COVID-19 hoax and have a very limited number of people and keep them all separated, for their protection. Maybe that's the idea behind it.
They may. I don't think so. Because how do you disguise the fact that 8 people have shown up in a big hall for a rally? I mean, do they have 64 yards between them each, and fill up the whole space? They're still not going to make it look like a huge attendance.
Well,
so
I
they
should
may
probably
use that as an excuse. You're right there.
I should probably watch a Biden rally and see what they do. I've seen some gatherings where they had circles on the floor and everybody was separated that way, the small number of people. But that may not have been a rally. It may have been something else with Biden.
Of course, what Trump is being attacked on by mainstream is the fact there's no social distancing, no wearing of masks. This is bad. This is horrible. And Donald Trump is responsible for these, what did they call them, the big spreader events or whatever. So they are attacking Trump on the fact that so many people are showing up and there's no proper COVID protocol taking place.
Well, the stream that I saw today was most people behind. You can see a lot of the audience behind him. I think they're nearly all wearing masks, or a lot of them were. But masks aren't mandatory anyway, are they?
They can be.
Depends which state you're in, really.
Right,
which
right.
country you're in.
But yeah,
of course, they do pick up on the ones that don't wear masks. But basically, I think they're told do wear a mask at the event, but that doesn't mean they must wear a mask. So, that's open to discussion, of course. But I think we are seeing, again, the same thing that they did in 2016 for Hillary, where they placed her so far ahead of Trump. And now they're doing it with Biden. And we all know what the result was in 2016, and he's a bit more popular now than he was back then. So, and hey, why shouldn't he have all this vigor and everything? He got Regeneron and he got all sparked up from his, treatment in the hospital. He was saying he felt better than he had in 20 years or something, and he's obviously showing that.
Yeah, I want me some of that Regeneron.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, exactly. Now, I have heard a few people have been reported using it, and their results have been spectacular also. One guy said, and I'm assuming when he said he started the bag and he started getting that it was intravenous, okay? But in any event...
I heard that too, Will. And he was so ill, he was actually dying. And they hooked up the bag to him. They fed it through that way. And he said as soon as the bag started, he started feeling better. And by
Yeah,
the end of
Regeneron,
by
yeah.
the end of that, by the end of the treatment, when the whole
Yeah.
bag had gone through into his system,
Right.
he felt really great and no longer ill. So it sounds like a really great thing. And the sooner they get it out to everybody, the better. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
And it seems that Trump has promised the people that it would be free to any and all Americans that are being affected by the virus.
Yeah, he also said he'd love to help everybody else in the world, but America couldn't afford it. So
Right.
I'm hoping
Didn't hear
that
that one.
something. Yeah, who knows?
Well, then
Yeah.
it should be the responsibility of each and every government when there's a product like that, a therapeutic, to bring it in for their people. And
Yeah,
we
that's right.
already know how they shut down hydroxychloroquine, So most countries made it illegal. I know it is so in Canada, if I'm not mistaken. It is so in Alberta, where I am. And we know they did that in Australia. So if he's saying this and people are going to take him up on his offer and you get more and more reports, what need will there be for a vaccination, a vaccine in a few months? And I hear Johnson & Johnson has suspended, Lilly has suspended trials on their vaccination that they're developing. So it's not going that good for the development of a vaccination from what I understand. But now you have 1, 2, 3 therapeutics that can do the job real quick and real well.
Yeah, it's apparently a therapeutic that it's an antibody therapeutic that actually boosts the immune system.
Well, the very name Regeneron suggests advanced technology, like the med beds.
Right.
Yeah, well, Regeneron is actually the name of the company that's making it too.
Oh, I didn't know that.
But where did they get the formula?
Yeah, well, maybe
the ETs gave it to them, Bill.
Or the Space Force.
Exactly.
Well, as I said, the ETs and the human ETs as well.
Yeah.
That's it's all very promising, and I mean, I'm sorry, but the proof is in the pudding as far as I'm concerned. When he got out of the hospital, and he said he's feeling great, and less than a week, and he's doing rallies again. And as you said, Callista, like almost every night, he's on the go, 24/7. Man.
Yeah, he's sounding really good. He's really on top of things by the sound of things. He's really rolling.
But doesn't that prove that he had a cure? If he had, the virus in the first place. Of course, there's people that are speculating, no, he didn't have it. And there's others who are pissed off because the doctors are now saying he did test negative because they're saying he hasn't tested.
Oh, are you there, Bill?
I'm here. I think Will just disappeared.
Yeah, Will just disappeared. I don't know what's happened there. It's getting itself sorted out one way or another.
Okay, so I'm on the call though again, am I not?
Yeah. You may remember that.
Right.
What was it? A couple of weeks ago, I got cut off multiple times.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Anyway, let's move on. What were we talking about?
So Bill had he wants to talk about the October surprise and what's going on. So do you want to go into that now, Bill?
Okay. Just my opinion, but I think that we're going to be seeing an October surprise put forward by Trump and the team. And I think we've already seen the beginning of it, but not the greatest part of it yet.
Right.
What I see as being the beginning of that are the two releases of information. One about the Joe Biden emails that shows that he did talk to Burisma and met with a principal from Burisma and his son together when he is on record saying that he never did so.
Mm-hmm.
That was in the New York Post. Earlier this evening, when we were talking before we actually started, Callista said that the New York Post retracted that. And I have not heard that yet. What is it you know about that, Callista?
Oh, I've just seen it in passing as I've been going through my Parler feed. Apparently, the New York Post retracted it.
Well, somebody leaned on them really hard.
Yeah, it sounds like it, because I know that there's, I think there's a few tweets of the president actually holding the copy of the New York Post with that headline on it. And so, no, I don't really know for sure. I've just seen, bits and pieces suggesting that the New York Post had a change of mind about putting that particular information up. Not only that, but Twitter have banned any people who are twittering about the Biden situation, and so have Facebook. They're banning anybody who talks about Hunter Biden. So Hunter Biden is apparently the golden child that can't be touched.
As well as his father.
They're censoring a lot of people on a lot of different topics. That being the hot one at the moment. But you mentioned Trump tweeting. I saw a tweet which said, so terrible that Facebook and Twitter took down the story of smoking gun emails related to Sleepy Joe Biden and his son Hunter in the New York Post. That was written by Trump. And he is just prodding them. And I think what he really wants to happen is he wants Twitter to ban him or censor him totally.
They've come close.
That will free him to start operating on the emergency phone system.
That's an interesting thought.
So we may see that as the days go by here, if they do, in fact, censor him totally.
Yeah, well, they certainly are being quite rabid about, their censorship at the moment.
Well, this is a major issue. It won't be, I think, a major issue in this election, but it's certainly a major concern to the freedom of speech of America when what are supposed to be platforms where they're not supposed to edit people and censor people take on publishing rights so that they can edit and censor people. That's going to have to be a real hot issue after the election going forward, I think.
I guarantee that'll be taken care of after the election.
Right. Look, they're going to
well, it certainly is. It's a funny situation at the moment because you can't even mention the 17th letter of the alphabet on YouTube without getting, censored. And apparently, the 17th letter of the alphabet has been mentioned numerous times in the last 7 days as being a terrible organisation that's inciting rebellion and all sorts of things. And even Barack Obama said something about this the other day when someone was interviewing him, and saying how the Republicans are being influenced by the 17th of the letter of the alphabet so badly that they're losing all sense and all the rest of it. So I'm thinking, this is really having an effect, and it's really good to see everything is coming to a head. And in this month, where everything is sort of coming to a bit of a crunch time, even this weekend, and I know that you want to talk about that a bit later on, Will, but it's it seems like the energies of everything are all coming together to produce a chaotic situation that's going to really help bring order into things later on down the track.
And that is something to recognize, that what is so disruptive and chaotic right now is actually really things being shaken so that they start coming apart at the seams, so that the rebuild of a new way of it, a new system of government and whatever can actually happen, because you've got to bring the old tower down or the old structure down if you're going to build a new structure in that spot. You can't build on top of it, So maybe in the end, this will be seen to be so. And why don't we jump into that about what I wanted to mention I guess it starts tomorrow. Anyway, I'm talking about the new moon in Libra. And apparently there is, it's going to be a real humdinger, and to hang in there and to just persevere, because it's going to bring people from the bottom at the deepest level, the darkest of the dark nights, to the top of clarity and illumination, and it really will, I think, very much be up to each individual and to how they react to the energies that are happening on many levels, not only on the political level as we're seeing the craziness coming through, but certainly on the personal level. So I just wanted to get your thoughts on that, Callista.
Yeah, well, it certainly is been written up as being a time when it's the highest of the highs and the lowest of the lows, and intense clarity, intuition, and spiritual awakening and commitment. So it's quite a mixture going on there by the look of it. And as you say, each individual person will have to look at what that means for them. And I've been thinking about that today, and I've been thinking that we're seeing a lot of opportunities now, and this particular one, this new moon, is another window of opportunity to really look at the darkest of the dark within ourselves. And there has been some discussion in the comments section of some of our YouTubes where people are asking, well, okay, what does that mean? And it really means looking at yourself. What do you like about yourself? What don't you like about yourself? What do you like about your life? What don't you like about your life? And you're the one who can do something about it. You're the only one that can do something about it. There's a lot of stuff going out there that you can get caught up with, like political situations and all the rest of it. But that can be just a distraction from actually doing your own personal inner work. So I think, this is a really, it's a really great opportunity, a great window of opportunity to do something. And so, yeah, I suggest that people really look at that. It's something that I'm really looking at, and to be able to go inward and just look at what you can change and what you want to change. And if you don't like the way your life is, you don't like where you live, or you don't like the people you're living with, or you don't like your job, or you don't like whatever, do something about it. This is your, human experience. Only you can decide what you're going to do. And don't come here and have this fantastic opportunity and ignore it. That's just, it's just silly. So,
I think part of the issue, of course, is people don't recognize it as an opportunity. And yes, while we certainly are discussing all things political, especially in America at this time, and certainly the global situation, ultimately it always comes back to you, the individual, and what are you here for? Now, I think we cannot say, and I know you and I, Callista, have discussed this in the past, that everyone is here to spiritually advance, at least not in a cognitive way, a way that they recognize. It doesn't mean that each life cannot bring spiritual awareness and understanding of what that life was about. Once we are removed from this life, once we return back to our spiritual family or group soul or whatever. But in the meantime, many are starting an awakening. So I think the great awakening that we hear of often isn't simply the great awakening of America, although that definitely is high on the agenda. I think it's the great awakening of human consciousness, something the Dark Cabal has tried to suppress for centuries and centuries, thousands of years, because an awakened human is too dangerous. And look at those awakened ones, Buddha, Christ, or Jesus, others, how they were, taken out. Not so much Buddha. I don't think he was ever taken out, but we certainly know that of the one we now would know as Jesus Christ, because there's nothing more dangerous to these people than enlightened human beings, awakened, illuminated human beings. So as we are here at this time, many of us are discovering that we are awakening to something deeper, a need that is far deeper than simply on the materialistic scale of things. So when we have a situation of the moon, the new moon, and it is in Libra, which is the scales, which is balancing and weighing things up, and all of that, we have the perfect opportunity to be self-reflective, to go deep, to look at the very things, just as you said, that we like or don't like, of the things we would want to change or things that work for us that we don't need to change. Perfect opportunity to raise consciousness, your own. And I think that's a very important point to these times and to the situations of this time. And I'm going on, so I want to just hand it over to Bill for a moment and get your thoughts there, Bill.
Well, I certainly have the viewpoint that everything is spiritual. And right now, with all the political activity going on, that does not, on its face, seem to be very spiritual. But I believe that it is. I believe it's all a part of the shift of consciousness. And it's the phase that the shift of consciousness is going through at the moment. And I'll say it's a critical phase, but it's certainly not the whole story, not by a long shot. The whole story is the evolution of the human race, the ascension through the fourth into the fifth dimension, which is happening and which more and more and more people are beginning to learn about and begin to understand. That's what it's really all about. But right now, today, especially in America, it's pretty much focused on the election.
Right.
Which is,
and
it's all a part of the spiritual picture.
Bigger picture, the big picture, yes.
Yes, and I think also that we need to look at, well, I think it's useful anyway, to look at the concept that in order to have order, we must first have chaos. Out of chaos comes order. And we're seeing the chaos happening now. And I relate this to the feminine because the feminine is chaotic. The masculine is orderly. And we've got a situation now on this planet with all the different aspects, the astrological aspects and the political aspects and everything all coming together, which is really showing the chaotic feminine. And at the same time, we've got this situation of Mars in retrograde. Now, Mars is the masculine energy in retrograde, sitting there, not able to do anything. And so it seems like the whole chaotic feminine is totally in control. And it's scary. It's scary it's scary to the masculine. And I don't just mean men. I don't just mean men here, because everyone's got that aspect of feminine and masculine within them. And just a moment, I'm going to cough. Sorry, I just coughed. You've got all this happening, and this also affects dynamic relationships. You know, in personal relationships, intimate relationships, you've got this going on, this between the chaotic feminine and the masculine that's suddenly static and can't do anything and is, can't move. And so I think it's a really, really tense time. And I don't think this lineup happens all that often. So this is a huge window, a huge, huge window. Anyway, I've raved on enough.
No, I agree with that totally. And as you rightly pointed out, the masculine has a little drop of the feminine within, and the feminine has the drop of the masculine. It's the yin yang. That's the whole purpose and explanation of the yin yang, the balancing. And if we don't actually understand that, then we're going to still, in the days, weeks, months, years ahead, have to deal with the gender issue, because we don't understand that, hey, it's all right, the masculine, the male has the right to have the sensitivity and that energy of the feminine, and vice versa. The feminine has every right to have that strong, powerful energy of the masculine, and be inside of ourselves with it, and be in balance in ourselves with it. And these are also purposes of the events that we experience as human beings, as to the purpose of our even being here in the first place, to discover these kind of elements. And it may take countless lifetimes to get it to a point where that is in balance, just as in the yin-yang symbol. Because right now, the ignorance that is shown in humanity is still that which very much is because of the control that certain ones, the dark ones, have had on humanity for so long. Who knows? Maybe had we been given free rein way back when, we would have figured it out a lot longer, but it's been perpetuated since the Babylonian times, most certainly, to be that which is used against humanity, the lack of understanding, the lack of balance, the lack of awareness that we are truly of spirit, each and every one of us. And now we're starting to express this more and more and see it more and more, even in the political events. I could say all these characters, excuse me, Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, Donald Trump, they're all grand characters to help humanity come through a very critical moment of its own evolution. So maybe instead of just thinking they're all bad, or the Democrats, only the Democrats, of course, only they are bad, not that we can see finally, hey, humanity is awakening, and sometimes you need people to play certain roles. It's like in a play or a movie, which isn't really them in their spiritual essence, but is them in this physical reality. So I'm just giving a little bit of a thought on that, which might need to be necessary in the long run, that we cannot just condemn them and hold them, the dark ones, as the enemy. They are a reflection of us and something that is our darkness as the collective that we are going through.
What do you reckon, Bill?
What?
Well, I'll just comment in passing that it is absolutely no coincidence whatsoever that these astrological influences hit us at these specific times.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like it was all planned out.
Mm. Yes.
Excuse me. Well, saying that, what about the fact that Mercury just went retrograde yesterday?
Oh, yes, and I completely lost all my mobile phone coverage all day.
Did
For
you
no
really?
reason. Yeah, for no reason. So, yeah, it's really interesting how these astrological influences are coming in really strong, I think, at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Stronger than we would normally think about them.
Mm-hmm.
But it's all, as you say, well, these people are on the stage for a reason, and it's to show us aspects of ourselves. It's like when a woman and a man get together and, they're getting to know each other and all that sort of thing. It's really important for the woman to display that chaotic feminine so that she can work out whether or not he can handle it. Because if he can't handle the chaotic feminine, he will not see the goddess.
Mm-hmm.
That's just the way it is.
Well,
And so I think, sorry?
No, just go on.
So I think that all these characters that we have got on our stage here on this planet, are there to show us things. And as you said, they're not to be condemned, but they are to be instead valued for the role that they take.
Yes, with the complete understanding that they are answerable for their actions, what they have done to others. This does not absolve them, having a grander understanding that they may at a deep spiritual level be playing a significant role for humanity or for personal situations in a family, for example. It doesn't absolve them from what they've done. It just, we do have to recognize there's something deep in all of us that goes far beyond the context of just simple, restricted human beings in skin suits, So
Yeah, I think that, I'm thinking that for every action there's an equal and opposite reaction. It's sort of like a universal law of that happens, and I think that is really the justice, the universal justice that is meted out, that you reap what you sow. And so if we can look at that, we can get probably a slightly more balanced view on it, perhaps. I don't know. What do you think about this, Bill?
Well, I think all the chaos that we're going through right now is really a struggle between humanity and the dark cabal. And something interesting I heard recently, the cabal is oftentimes referred to as the elites, but now they have a new name. Henceforth, they shall be the deletes.
The deletes. Oh dear.
That's a good one, Bill. I like that. The deletes.
Well, that came from Zing Dad, if you know who Zing Dad is.
Oh, right. Yeah, the guy in South Africa. Yeah. Yeah, we're talking about the deletes. Did you guys see anything of Amy Coney Barrett's, interviews and things just recently?
Yeah,
because
actually,
I saw bits and pieces.
Yeah, I saw the one with Kamala today, and I thought, oh my God, this is horrible. For bringing her down, I thought, Kamala, not what she did against the nominee. Yeah, and I've heard a little bit here and there, so I haven't followed it as much, but how about you, Bill?
I have not been following it at all because I'm convinced that she is a very good person. And I'm also convinced that she will be confirmed for the Supreme Court. So my attention has been elsewhere because I think that's a done deal.
Yeah, I think so. I think so too, Bill. I saw bits and pieces of it, and the bits that I saw, it seemed to me that, well, I was actually very embarrassed for the Democrats because I was thinking, if those people are chosen for their ability to lead the country of America, and they're behaving like this and saying these things, I think that's a huge embarrassment. And
that's politics.
Amy Coney Barrett wiped the floor with every single one of them that came up against her. And yeah, she is a very smart person. And at one stage, one of them challenged her and said, well, exactly what sort of papers have you got on your table that you're referring to? Because she was referring to all different court cases, illustrating this, that, and the other. And she picked up this notepad, and it was completely blank. And the guy said, oh, what's that written on there? And she said, oh, that's the seal of the United States.
Of the Senate or something, wasn't it?
Yeah, of the Senate. It was just a blank piece of notepaper. That's all she had. I mean, she's brilliant. She must have a photographic memory apart from anything else. And she's very strong in what she believes in. And so, yeah, I thought that it just really showed the Democrats to be who they really are. And I was embarrassed for them. I really was. It's terrible.
Well, after the Kavanaugh debacle, with the Republicans having a majority in the Senate, they're not going to allow such a thing again. They'll go ahead and run through this fairly quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
I don't think Blasey Ford was going to show up and accuse Barrett of sexually molesting her when she was a teenager. Not like with Kavanaugh. That was a fiasco. But yes.
So, Bill, tell us about the Bill, tell us about the whistleblowers you've been listening to.
Okay, well, in regard to this being the season for October Surprise, I saw the first stroke as the New York Post article about
Mm.
the emails showing Joe Biden did, in fact, talk to people from Burisma with his son present, and his prior statement about that he never did so was just a flat total lie. That was the first stroke. The second stroke came out yesterday. I don't think it's been widely disseminated yet, but there is a whistleblower by the name of Alan Howell Parrott, who is an American, but he has lived over in the Arab countries for many, many years, and he has become the world's expert falconer. And all of the Arab leaders want him to teach them how to do falcon hunting, which is a prestigious thing for some of the elites who will soon become the deletes. But that is how he became privy to a lot of information that he otherwise would not have heard, because he's right in the bunch here with all of these Arabs, and is soaking up a lot of information. Well, he has teamed up with Nicholas Noe, Noe, who is a ex-Navy SEAL, and together they are putting out information, and they say they want to give all of this to President Trump. And it's not just that they're relating stories, but they have documentation to cover all of what they're saying in different forms, like audio and video and so forth, and written. But basically, what they're saying is that the deal with Benghazi was that Hillary was running a weapons smuggling thing through there for her profit, and there were a lot of CIA weapons there in Libya that were being sold to some of the different Arab groups over in the Middle East. And come to find out later, well, let me back up before I say that. It became clear that some of this information was going to get out, and that's why the whole Benghazi operation had to be shut down under cover of the embassy being attacked. Among other munitions that they were transferring were Stinger missiles. And I'll get back to the Stinger missiles in a minute. The Bin Laden deal, where supposedly Bin Laden was killed, they say that was not actually Bin Laden, but it was a body double, who had been set up as a target in case anybody wanted to shoot at that target. And the real Bin Laden was, and presumably still is, in Iran under protection of the Iranian government. But in order for this information about Bin Laden not being the real Bin Laden, they did various things, like they had a nautical type of funeral where they were supposed to put the body in the water, which is absolutely against Islamic teachings. But actually, that never happened anyway, according to these two whistleblowers. That what happened was the captain and the crew of the Navy vessel involved were told to say that, yes, they did have a funeral and they dumped the body over the side, when in fact the actual body was cut up and dumped out of a helicopter over some very remote mountains. Now, they don't want that information getting out either. So SEAL Team 6, which is the team that went in and killed the Bin Laden double, SEAL Team 6 was murdered later. It was arranged that they would be shot down in their helicopter. And as it turned out, they were shot down using a Stinger missile. And there was enough remains existing from the Stinger missile But they got a serial number off of it and traced it to one of those that went through Benghazi. And of course, Hillary doesn't want any of this information coming out about the gun running or bin Laden not being the real deal or any of that. So that's all been covered up. But now these two whistleblowers are coming forward. They say with overwhelming evidence that all this is true, and they are just really eager to give it all to Trump. So this information just came out 2 days ago, and I tried to email it to my work computer so I could put it in the light forum, and that email was blocked. So it managed to get there through other means. But this will come out, whether it comes out through my publication or a dozen others all at the same time. The information will come out in the immediate future, and that is stroke number 2 of October Surprise. But I just bet that strokes 3, 4, and 5 are going to be bigger and bigger and bigger each time. So in the next week or two, we'll look forward to some very interesting revelations, I think.
Right.
Yeah, I agree.
think we will.
Mm.
Well, I remember way back when the event happened and the squad went in and they pulled him out and took off. I think one of their helicopters was damaged, so they couldn't use it. So they all piled into the one helicopter, but they all got out. And then later on, the story came that they had killed him at sea and disposed his body that way. But I remember channeling for cosmic awareness back then, and that what awareness said, it wasn't bin Laden at all that was picked up in the compound, and that they executed him. Now, it didn't say that he'd been chopped up and thrown out of the helicopter, but it did say, awareness did say, that he was executed so nobody could discover that it wasn't him, because let's face it, he was the number one all-time criminal, all-time criminal at that time, the world's number one criminal. Would you actually execute a man who is behind the bombing of the New York Trade Towers or World Towers or the Pentagon or whatever? Would you actually just shoot him in the head and throw him overboard? No. That was all designed to protect the real one. That I do think they got him out. Whether he's alive or not in Iran or anywhere else, I don't know. But I know that Cosmic Awareness said, no, that was a cover story. And that was way back when this whole event happened. When was that? 2010 or something, you know? And so it had come out before, Bill. It just it didn't come out like it is coming out now. It was Cosmic Awareness spoke about that many years ago. So what you're saying actually doesn't surprise me. It's really kind of fits in with what I had been told or channeled, actually. And as for Hillary Clinton and the whole Benghazi thing, I think she also set up Stevens, didn't she, the ambassador, to have him killed because he knew too much? Wasn't he the broker of the deal or something?
Well, he and the other participants there, some of the other participants were too knowledgeable, so they had to go.
Mm-hmm. And it certainly wasn't that guy that did this comedy movie or video about Allah that they said provoked the crowd and all that other. No, that was all set up, and she certainly doesn't want that coming out either, does she?
Well, you may find it coming out this next week.
It may, and it may come out with full force and won't be squashed down anymore.
I think it's significant that so many things are coming to a head in a short time right now. There's definitely, it's like all the threads are being pulled together, and it's all amounting to quite a huge hill of beans.
So what if, taking exactly that, what if this new moon that's coming together is exactly that action of pulling it together. And from this moment on, the next 3 weeks are going to be beyond even what we have experienced up to now.
Oh
What
yeah,
a
I think
significant
the tension's going to be there for quite some time, probably up until February even, because
Yeah, it could well be.
Mars doesn't go direct until Friday the 13th of November, and then it has to catch up. And it's not just Mars, but everything else, to sort of get itself happening. And also we've got the 21st of December solstice, which is always a very powerful time. So apart from everything else, you've got all that happening. And so, yeah, it's like everything's coming together. It's great. It's beautiful to watch, really.
In line with that, when does Mercury go direct? Before the election or after?
Mercury goes direct. Just a second, I've got it written down here somewhere. Mercury only goes retrograde for 3 weeks at a time, I think. So
right, exactly. So we're just 3 weeks now before the election.
Mercury goes direct on the 3rd of November.
Oh,
yeah,
no,
it's exactly the day of the election. Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow. Did someone time that? Did someone set that up? You're kidding.
I would think.
Wow.
I would think so. No, don't be kidding, because a lot of these events are orchestrated to take advantage of certain astrological energies, as we know.
Well, Reagan and his wife Nancy, they both were believers in astrology. Hitler used astrologers all the time, So yeah, they definitely incorporate that astrological information and maybe even use it to time events, Although I do think that the American election for president always has to happen on, what is it, the first Tuesday of the month of November or something like that, Bill?
Correct.
You know what
First Tuesday.
Yeah. So it just
now that the election is not the end of Trump's term. Whoever gets elected on November 3rd should be inaugurated on January 20th.
Yeah, president-elect.
So you can look for the deletes to continue their battle, even increase their battle between November 3rd and January 20th.
Yeah, it's definitely not going to be just a simple, okay, you won, congratulations, bye-bye, as they walk mildly and meekly into the sunset,
Never happen.
It's not going to be like that. So they asked him if he would go easily into that dark night if he lost, but they're not probably going to do it themselves, So, okay, any last thoughts or points that either of you wanted to make at this time before we call it a night or a day, whichever?
No, I'm done for tonight. I'll just say look forward to more and more chaos in the next 2 to 3 weeks.
Yeah, go the chaotic feminine.
and think. Oh, and I have to share with you both, because when you were talking about the chaotic feminine there, Callista, and I had this image of when you said a man has to be able, maybe to stand up to that or know what it is. And I just saw, what he's really looking for is the door out of the room as quickly as possible, because a lot of men cannot handle that in the feminine.
Exactly. That's why they're put to the test. We only want the strongest in the herd.
Hey, now that's herd mentality and herd immunity. Maybe it's not a bad thing. But in any event, these are the times we've been waiting for. These are the times we chose to be here in, and let's take it for the opportunity. There is one last pointer I want to bring out. As you know, Callista and Bill there, we did some channeling last night. And one of the questions was about a certain person, and was what this person was bringing through adequate or right or whatever. And awareness did speak about the fact that, hey, you have to question anyone who's putting it out there, including that person, including the president and all others, including even cosmic awareness. And dare I say it, even me. And what it was saying also further to that in the closing message was that this is the way we actually do start also to increase our frequency, because as long as we are open-minded but still question, and even question from that which is within, that starts the process of putting us in our own power. And right now, despite what we're seeing in the world, what we're seeing in the States, we still have to look and see ourselves. We have to find the questions to ourselves, as you suggested earlier, Callista, that are necessary to bring us home again, to reunite us with our own spiritual comprehension and to raise those frequencies, to raise our awareness and understanding. So this is a very good time with all the chaos and everything to ask the question of yourself, who am I in all this?
I think it's very important also to be honest. If you're not truthful, you're not going to get anywhere. This is a window of opportunity that is so important. And if you're going to be deceptive about yourself or towards anyone else, it's not going to work for you. And karma is a bitch, and that's all there is to it. So, you know, we have to be scrupulous. We cannot mess about in the same way as we might have messed about when we were younger or in times past. This energy will not stand for it. So, yeah, we have to be really honest to ourselves and with others and look at things as they really are and not how you might want them to be or imagine them to be or whatever, but as they really are. So, yeah, and that's all about being honest about what is reality and what isn't. And so, yeah, that's good. Well, I'm happy to finish now if you are. And Bill, Bill's probably got something he wants to say anyway.
Oh, I'll just mention that my focus for the past 33 years has been what you just described, trying to find out what is and why it is without any expectations necessarily, just wanting to know the truth and giving out nothing but the truth.
That's
and
right.
That which goes with it is a type of flexibility, so that because the truth is an evolving thing. So what your truth as a 21-year-old might not be your truth when you're 61. And we just have to always be willing to adjust and as has been said, to be honest with ourselves. And more always is revealed as we go along.
Hopefully your later truth would be more expanded.
Yeah, that would be good. Anyway, okay, yeah, I think this is the moment that we can end for tonight, and we'll see what happens in this next week ahead, and we'll do it again next week. Okay?
Sure thing.
Okay, well, thanks to you both. It was a great chat, as I said. So,
okay, see you next week.
See you next
thanks,
week.
Bill. Thanks, Will. And yep, see you next week.
Right. Thanks, Callista, and thanks, Bill. See you next week.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Namaste.
Bye-bye.